You know, I am getting really, really sick of this deck. Hey, Nick from 9Card TCG, and today we're going to be looking at a Mew Vmax deck that survives rotation. Of course it does.
Why won't you die?
Why would it not? So, we're gonna take a look. Oh, I don't know what that was supposed to be. We are gonna be taking a look at a top 16 deck from a tournament that took place. It was a 3,000 person Japan City League or City League Championship or something like that. I'll be honest, I don't remember the name of it off the top of my head because I'm not good at this. So I'm gonna have the link to the actual deck list and the Twitter user in the video description. I'm also gonna have a link to all of the other decks that you can find in the video description. So if you want to check out some other decks that did well in this major post-rotation tournament, you'll be able to do so. But before we go any further, if you haven't already, do me a favor, like, subscribe, comment, all that kind of stuff tells YouTube this is a good channel. Other people should watch it. We're going to look at this Mew deck, but I guess it is worth noting that me personally, I do have a contingency plan for Mew and really any Psychic deck in my post-rotation deck. So if you're planning on playing Mew, I got answers for you. So here we are. It's honestly pretty standard Mew list. Now, one of the things that is a little different is this particular list has no Meloetta, so no Fusion Strike energies, and no Oricorio. It's literally just Mew and Genesect as your only Pokemon. So you got a 4-3 line of Mew V and Mew V Max, and you got your 4 Genesects. Pretty unsurprising there. There are some lists that do like a 3-3, and I'm sure you can find some that do like a 3-2 Mew V Max, but no other Pokemon. You are really just relying on Mew V or Mew V Max and Genesect V. So kind of interesting. We no longer have Marnie, so we have 3 copies of Judge as your disruption. We got Boss's Orders of Roxanne, and it's a little hard to tell what that last supporter is, so I apologize. If I figure it out, I'll let you know. Volo is kind of like, I don't know. I don't actually know what that is. But either way, 4 Battle VIP passes, 4 Ultra Balls, 2 Nest Balls, and a Feather Ball. Feather Ball is something that we already have. It's not new, but it lets you search for a Pokemon with 1 retreat cost or less, or free retreat, whatever it is. Either way, you use it to get your Mews because they don't have a retreat cost, so you just get a free Mew. Nest Ball also lets you search your deck for a basic Pokemon and put it directly onto your deck. No, it lets you get a basic Pokemon from your deck and put it directly on your bench. Now, one of the things that Mew does lose, or one of the few things that Mew does lose, is Quick Ball. Quick Ball is actually a really good card for Mew VMAX. The reason is because you can discard a card from your hand and then search your deck for something, which you can either not get anything, or you can get a card to then discard it with, say, another Quick Ball or an Ultra Ball. Why is this useful for Mew? Well, it does 2 things. One, Quick Ball discarding a card from your hand lets you thin your hand out so you can draw more cards with Genesect's Fusion Strike system ability, which lets you draw a card or up to the number of cards as you have Fusion Strike Pokemon in play. So if you have 3 Fusion Strike Pokemon in play and no cards in hand, you get to draw until you have 3 cards in hand. If you have 3 Fusion Strike Pokemon in play and 3 cards in hand, you don't get to draw anything. That's kind of how that works. So Quick Ball would let you thin cards out, so you get to play the Quick Ball and then discard another card, which means now you go down to 1 card in hand where you got 3 Fusion Strike Pokemon in play. Genesect will let you draw 2 cards. It also lets you thin the deck out of stuff so that you can, again, you have 2 Quick Balls in hand and another card where you can Quick Ball away the other card, get a Pokemon, and then discard that with the other Quick Ball. So now you have no cards in hand. You don't get a Pokemon, or you do get a Pokemon, you put it on the bench, whatever. And now you have no cards in hand, and you can draw as many cards as you have Fusion Strike Pokemon in play with Genesect. And you can repeat that process with as many Genesects as you have on the bench, which is, or I guess in play, really, it could be in the active too, which is insane how good the draw is. And okay, so there's Quick Ball. We don't have that anymore. Now you have Nest Ball. Nest Ball doesn't require you to discard a card. You also can't play Nest Ball if your bench is full. You could play Quick Ball if you had a full bench, because the card Quick Ball says put the card from the deck into your hand. Nest Ball says put the card from your deck onto your bench. So huge difference there. Nest Ball, not that. I mean, it's fine early game, maybe even like mid game, something gets knocked out, you Nest Ball to get another Genesect, another Mew or something, but not nearly as good as Quick Ball. We do have 3 copies of Forest Seal Stone. It's just a really good card for something like Mew. It doesn't, Mew VMAX and Genesect, they don't have V-Star powers, so you can attach that Forest Seal Stone to any one of your Pokemon, because it can only be attached to Pokemon V, and then use the ability for whatever I think Star Alchemy, I think it is, to just get any single card from your deck and put it into your hand. Now, why is this so good? You can see we have 3 copies of Path to the Peak. Path to the Peak is kind of annoying for something like a Mew VMAX deck because it prevents you from drawing cards with Genesect. But you want to keep Path to the Peak in play, or you don't have a way of getting rid of it to draw with your Genesect, well, you can still use Forest Seal Stone's Star Alchemy ability to get any card you want, even with Path to the Peak in play, because Path affects Pokemon, and Forest Seal Stone is a tool card that the Pokemon it's attached to has access to. It's a whole semantics thing, but there you go. We do have 4 copies of Cram-O-Matic, Flip a Coin, where you have to discard an item card from your hands. So that's a lot of our deck is item cards, so discard one of the many cards in your deck, and flip a coin. If heads, you also get any cards you want from your deck, which is insane. We have 4 copies of those. 4 copies of Lost Vacuum. The 4 copies of Cram-O-Matic and the 4 copies of the Lost Vacuum are ways... 4 copies of Cram are played currently, but the 4 Lost Vacuums are ways of compensating for the loss of Quick Ball. Because Lost Vacuum, you play it from your hand, and you have to remove another card from hand, put it in the Lost Zone in order to play it. It also lets you get some, like a tool card or a stadium out of play, so you can play another one. So let's say you have Path to the Peak in play. You can play your Lost Vacuum, get rid of a card out of your hand, remove Path to the Peak, and then put another Path to the Peak in play. Something that would otherwise clunk up your hand if you had too many. So it's a way to further thin the hand and play down things that you maybe, wouldn't be able to in other scenarios. We have 4 copies of Power Tablet because it's an incredible tool, item card, and it's a damage modifier. 4 copies of Cross Switcher, which is another great way of gusting up things when we don't want to play our boss for turn. Maybe we have a Genesect in the active, something like that. We don't have like a switch card, or we can't afford to discard a DTE in order to retreat a Genesect. Whatever reason, our active is paralyzed, we can't retreat. Something. There's a lot of reasons why we would want to move our active Pokemon, and Cross Switcher lets us do that, and it also forces your opponent to bring up something for the bench, but you get to choose it. So it's a boss's orders, basically. You have to play 2 of them at once, but whatever. We got 2 copies of Escape Rope, 2 copies of Choice Belt. Do keep in mind, in rotation formats or post-rotation formats, the Choice Belt is no longer an item. So you can't discard Choice Belt with Cram-O-Matic because it's no longer an item. Tool cards and items will be separated. So something worth noting. 4 copies of Double Turbo Energy as literally your only energy for the entire deck. It's not that big of a deal because you have 3 copies of Forest Steel Stone to go get one, 4 copies of Cram-O-Matic to try and get one, and just the incredible draw power of your Genesect V's Fusion Strike system. You're probably going to go ahead and find that Double Turbo Energy to attach for turn. We mentioned the Path to the Peaks. We got a Pal Pad and an Echoing Horn. That Echoing Horn boss or Echoing Horn Cross Switcher is lethal. That is such a strong combination because now it requires your opponent to... You don't have to, say, go through a big Duraludon VMAX. You don't have to go through a big Gardevoir EX with 310 health. You can just knock out 2 other Pokemon and then I knocked out your... Let's talk about the Gardevoir EX deck. A lot of times they play Zacian V from Celebrations, the psychic one that has Roar of the Sword as an ability to accelerate psychic energies. Pretty common, or at least probably will be. So you knock that out. You Boss's Order, or you cross switcher it up. You knock that thing out with Technoblast. Right? Mew VMAX copies attacks from bench Pokemon. You don't have many options, so use Technoblast and you knock out that Zacian V. Now you go down to 4 prizes. You knock out a Gardevoir EX. You got a bunch of power tablets. Choice Belt doesn't work there, but you got enough power tablets. You can do an extra 120 damage with 4 power tablets, and Technoblast does 210, so 120 and 210 is 330, enough to knock out a Gardevoir EX. But now you have 2 prizes remaining. But you used all your power tablets in order to knock out that second or that first Gardevoir EX. So how do you get those last 2 prizes? Echoing Horn that Zacian V, Cross Switcher or Boss it up into the active, Escape Rope, depending on how many Pokemon they have on the bench, and then there you go. Now you're just knocking out Technoblast, and that's the game. It's that simple. It's absolutely insane. It is worth noting that Technoblast will do 190 damage because of the double turbo energies, but 330, I said 210 plus 120 is 330, minus 20 for DTE, I forgot to do that, it's still 310, still enough to knock out the Gardevoir EX, and a Choice Belt brings you from 190 back to 220, enough to knock out the Zacian V that we already mentioned. So all those knockouts are still very, very possible, and again, being able to search your deck with Forest of Stone and Cramomatic for any card you want to get that Choice Belt. For example, you draw into the Choice Belt with all the cross Fusion Strike systems, or Fusion Strike systems, whatever the thing is called. I mean, it's absolutely insane how easy it is for something like a Mew to take 6 prizes. I can tell you I know from experience. We didn't really mention the judges too much, but judges are a great way. Once you get set up, you don't really care too much about Genesect V's ability. You could throw that path down and then just judge, and you could judge your opponent, or you could play. Don't judge your opponent. But that was a stupid joke. But then you can go ahead and play judge. Both you and your opponent shuffle your hand until you have 4 cards. Shuffle your hand into your deck, draw until you have 4. You're set. What do you really need more cards than that? If they bump the path, then you just use Genesect's ability and draw more. Or you can use one of your many Lost Vacuums to bump path when you need it or want to, and then you just draw a bunch of cards. I mean, it's insane how good this deck stays post-rotation. I'm not surprised it made top 16 in a 3,000 person tournament. Expect to see Mew. It's not going away anytime soon. Does it get a little weaker? Sure, but honestly, so does everything else. So I think it stays pretty high up there in the meta. As you can see, this is not the only Mew deck that made top 16. There was another one. So yeah, Mew, super annoying, and I'm really not looking forward to it, which is why I have answers for it in my post-rotation deck. But yeah, there you go. That's the whole thing. So, Mew VMAX is still super annoying. I hope you enjoyed, found it informative. If you did, like, subscribe, comment. Let me know your thoughts on Mew VMAX. Are you just as tired of it as I am? Because, oh boy, I am so over it. I'm so over seeing this deck. It just has everything. I say it all the time. It has every single thing you could possibly want in a deck. Free retreat, damage reduction, or damage buff, draw. Depending on the version you play, it has energy acceleration, and it has so many things going for it. It's good, really good damage output. It has shred. It can essentially heal by copying Psychic Leap and running back into the deck, getting all those damage counters off of it. It just does everything you would possibly want a deck to do. So really tired of it, but yeah, that's gonna do it for us today. Thanks so much for watching. Again, links to the decks in the video description, because go check that out. And yeah, that's gonna do it. I'll see you next time.